The thing about being selfish about a child, I think. Yes.
Let's go, bro.
Yes. So we like to party, doing whatever we like.
Welcome back to Everyday Gist TV, my people. If this is your first time tuning in, just sit back, relax, and let me take you through something that has been quietly unfolding, but not everyone is paying close attention. And trust me when I say this, what we are about to talk about today might look small on the surface, but if you read between the lines, there is a whole lot going on. So, let's start from the beginning. A few days ago, a certain post dropped online. At first glance, it looked like just another simple, classy upload. Nothing too loud, nothing dramatic. Just a clean, well-put-together appearance that immediately caught attention. The kind of picture that doesn't beg for validation but still commands it effortlessly. Now, if you've been following closely, you'll understand why this particular post raised eyebrows. It wasn't just about the outfit, though that alone was enough to get people talking. It wasn't just about the elegance or the calm confidence in the pose. It was something deeper, something subtle that only people who pay attention to details would notice. You see, sometimes, it's not about what is posted. It's about who reacts and when. When that picture went up, the timeline reacted the way you would expect. Compliments started pouring in. People were hyping, admiring, appreciating. And honestly, it made sense. The look was simple but powerful. Corporate, polished, and mature. The kind of vibe that says, I know who I am, and I don't need to prove anything. But while everyone else was busy reacting immediately, there was one person who didn't. No comment. No like. No visible acknowledgement. At least, not at first. And that's where things started getting interesting. Because after some time had passed, after the noise had reduced, after people had moved on to the next trending topic, something happened. Quietly, almost like it wasn't meant to be noticed, but of course, it was. That same person who had seemingly ignored the post initially went back and liked it. Now, to some people, this might not mean anything. It could easily be brushed off as nothing serious. Just a random interaction. A simple double tap. But if you've been following this story for a while, you know that nothing about this situation is ever just random. This is where the conversation begins. Why wait? Why not react immediately like everyone else? Why come back later, when the attention has died down, to engage with the post? These are the kinds of questions that fans and observers are starting to ask. And the more you think about it, the more it starts to feel intentional. Because let's be honest, social media interactions, especially between people who are constantly under public observation, are rarely accidental. There is always a layer of awareness. There is always a level of calculation. And sometimes, there is a story being told without words. Now, this isn't the first time something like this has happened. In fact, if you've been paying attention, you'll notice a pattern. A consistent back and forth that never fully confirms anything, but never completely denies it either. It's like a silent conversation happening in plain sight. And the audience? We are all just trying to decode it. Some people believe that what we are seeing is intentional, two individuals who understand the power of mystery. They know that people are watching. They know that every action, no matter how small, will be analyzed. So instead of giving everything away, they choose to move in a way that keeps people guessing. Not too obvious. Not too hidden. Just enough to keep the conversation alive. Others, however, think differently. They believe that maybe we are reading too much into things. That sometimes, a like is just a like. That not every action needs to have a deeper meaning. And honestly, that perspective is valid too. But here's the thing. When a situation keeps repeating itself in similar patterns, it stops looking like coincidence. It starts to look like a strategy. And whether that strategy is intentional or subconscious, one thing is certain, it is working. Because here we are, talking about it. Analyzing it. Trying to understand what is really going on. Now, let's shift focus a little. Beyond the social media interactions, there is also the professional side of things. Recently, there has been new content released, something that fans have been anticipating for a while. And this is where things get even more interesting. Because despite all the conversations, the speculations, and even the disagreements that have happened in the past, people are still watching. Yes, there was a time when some fans said they were done. They claimed they would no longer support. They expressed frustration and disappointment over certain events. And at that moment, it felt real. It felt like a shift. But as time passed, something changed. Curiosity came back. Interest returned. And slowly but surely, people found themselves drawn in again. Because at the end of the day, connection is not something you can easily switch off. When people feel invested, whether emotionally or through entertainment, it takes more than a temporary disagreement to completely walk away. And that is exactly what we are seeing now. Despite everything, the audience is still engaged. Still watching. Still talking. And most importantly, still trying to figure things out. Now, let's address something else that has been happening behind the scenes, the reactions from the audience. Not everyone is happy. Not everyone agrees. And that's normal. When you put yourself out there, especially in a space where people feel connected to your journey, you will always receive mixed reactions. Some people will support you wholeheartedly. Others will question your actions. And then there are those who will criticize, sometimes harshly. It comes with the territory. But what matters is how you choose to respond, or sometimes, how you choose not to respond. Lately, there has been a noticeable shift in approach. Instead of engaging with every comment, especially the negative ones, there seems to be a decision to step back. To focus on what matters and ignore the noise. And honestly, that's a powerful move. Because not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every criticism requires a response. Sometimes, silence speaks louder. Sometimes, continuing your work without distraction sends a stronger message than any reply ever could. Now, let's talk about something that people often overlook, the passion behind what we do. Content creation, blogging, storytelling, it's not just about putting out information. It's about connection. It's about sharing something you genuinely care about. Because if there is no passion, people will feel it. If there is no authenticity, it won't resonate. And that's why not every topic appeals to every creator. Some people ask, why focus on this? Why not talk about something else? And the answer is simple. You talk about what connects with you. You share what you understand. You engage with what you genuinely care about. Because that's where the real energy comes from. That's what keeps the content alive. And at the end of the day, people can tell the difference. Now, as we wrap this up, let's go back to where we started. A simple post. A delayed reaction. A quiet interaction that sparked a loud conversation. What does it all mean? The truth is, there is no single answer. It could be intentional. It could be coincidental. It could be something in between. But what makes it interesting is not just the action itself, it's the story that people build around it. Because in today's world, perception is powerful. Sometimes, what people believe becomes more influential than what is actually happening. And as long as the mystery continues, the conversation will never truly end. So now, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Do you believe there is something deeper going on here? Or do you think people are simply overanalyzing a normal situation? Drop your thoughts, let's talk about it. And don't forget to stay tuned to Everyday Gist TV, because if there is anything worth talking about, you already know, we will be here to break it down. I see you in the next one.